Call the meeting to order. Everybody's here. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's see, this meeting is being recorded by the city of Greenfield. If any other persons present are recording this meeting, you must notify the board chair at this time. The chair and the Board of Assessors reserves the right to remove or have removed any persons for profanity, threats, or any continued disruption during a meeting. Okay, and have we, seen the previous minute?
I move to approve. I would second.
Okay, all in favor? Here we go.
Aye.
Okay. Yeah, and the previous minutes were really the,
Just the executive session.
yeah.
Really nothing else.
Okay.
That's probably nice those.
So, make a motion to open public comment.
Second.
Hello there, Stephanie.
Favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hello.
Hello there.
Nice stuff.
I don't have to remind you, but speaking time is 3 minutes for each person, and you need to state your name and address. And you've got your hand up already? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Stephanie
go ahead.
Duclos, Chapman Street, Greenfield,
Yeah.
Precinct 8. Just calling in, I was looking at the agenda really quick, but what I really wanted to ask was regarding the excise taxes. The process of reporting to the town does that happen automatically through the registry? Or, I see a lot of cars in town that do not have Massachusetts plates, and I know that we capture that by the registration of their plates and change of address. And I'm not sure if people know that they need to report those changes so that Greenfield can capture those taxes rather than where they came from. Also, was wondering about the software we use, and if the software has built-in factors that are considered for depreciation, like my own situation where I abut a railroad or adjoin a railroad easement. Also, on the permit pricing, how is that determined? Do we self-report if we're pulling permits, like our estimations? How do we verify that they are pulling accurate permits? I just happened to see a permit that said that they were drywalling, but they're completely gutting a place. So if we're not capturing it, I don't know if maybe it's just the fact that we don't have enough people in the inspections department to be able to, follow up on permit pulls. And when I do also see a lot of houses and apartments being flipped, buildings, not necessarily just the apartments themselves, but the buildings themselves changing ownership and quickly getting done and then putting back on the tax rolls. But what happens in the interim? Are we collecting taxes from the prior owner? Did we wait till the transaction is final on sale? Or, I think some of that ends up getting missed. Also, when I got the abutters list, is there some sort of a remedy where we can figure out who actually lives at these properties? Because when I have to notify somebody regarding, any potential permit I'd be pulling or any other construction happening, I have to notify actual people, not just the way it is right now. Is all I'm doing is notifying a building that a landlord owns. So I don't know if anything that I would or anyone else would do in our neighborhood would disturb the people who are already living here, like longtime renters who haven't left but are never notified because the notifications go to a PO box in some other state. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. Thank you for giving me the time.
You said a lot. Let me see if I captured it. You've got a concern about out-of-state plates relative to excise. The abutting, getting an abutters list and who lives there, who personally lives there, not the owner. The accuracy of permits and the price of permits, licenses. Were those the four things? Or did I completely
Yeah.
munge them?
Yes, no,
Okay.
those were factors considered in depreciation, in deval and
Um,
revals also. And do we impose fines for underreporting permits? I don't know if that is even in your purview, but I'm just thinking, how do we capture money? I know we don't have a whole heck of a lot, but if if we're looking at all of the little nickels and dimes, they do add up to dollars. So
yeah.
that's just my thought. Thanks.
Okay. Well, good thoughts.
Yeah, a lot of the questions are building department specific as far as their fees and fines and how their follow-up goes.
And the accuracy of the.
Yeah, and the accuracy and whether they, have any fine system for after, if there's a gross estimation of the total cost, that would be the building department and really a question that would, more better for Mark Snow than really this in this.
Yeah.
Purview. But let me start with the excise tax. So excise tax, we get the information from the Registry of Motor Vehicles. They send us what we call commitments 8 times a year. So as people buy and sell, throughout the year, we're getting commitments about that. The first one that we do is about 14,000 bills. That comes in January, but not every bill comes in our, that first commitment. So we get it usually in January, but we'll get it out by February. And then they keep coming throughout the year. So if there's plate or a car that's registered in another state, there's nothing that we can do about that. As far as other towns, there's two significant addresses. One is the mailing address and the other is the place of garaging. And so depending on where it's garaged, that's where the bill really should go. So even though the bill might have a different address on it, or it might be in Shelburne Falls, if the vehicle's housed in Greenfield, it's supposed to have the excise tax getting paid in Greenfield. The value depreciates from the manufacturer's suggested retail price for 5 years. It starts out at 90% and goes 90, 60, 40, 25, 10, and it never goes below that 10%, regardless of how long you have the vehicle. Did that cover all of your RMV questions?
Yes. I'm on the depreciation or the devaluation of homes more specifically. Are we taking factors like I guess there's factors like if you live next to a railroad or some sort of factory, sometimes they go, well, that's not the ideal place, so they give a revaluation of a lower number. But I didn't know if those are factors that are already set up in the software or if we even consider that at all.
Well, as far as being next to railroad tracks, I'm not sure, but we do have different neighborhoods in town. And those neighborhoods, we're looking at those different areas of town together. And if there's some type of thing that's influencing the value of the land, then that will be reflected in the neighborhood. If there is something that's more specific that, there might be an adjustment for if you're right next to the railroad tracks, although that would be more of, that wouldn't affect just one home. It would affect all of the homes that were by the railroad tracks, I would think. And so there could be adjustments that were made for that, but it would most of the time not just be made to one home, but to like a neighborhood or a street, depending on the circumstances and the challenge that was devaluing the property.
Randy, I don't know if I could ask or make this a little bit richer, but I think the question might also encompass like who and when do that estimation of the railroad track or the neighborhood. So some of these things like the neighborhood, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like a factor and it's in the software like a neighborhood adjustment.
There is the neighborhood is a factor that's part of the calculation ladder that influences the value. The overall value.
But in terms of more specific things like we've seen them in the property cards before where it says either something good or bad about like a view or about like something it's next to. Usually it seems like there's often like a note in the property card that says there's this thing and it has an effect.
And a lot of times there's a note because of the adjustment that we're making for that.
Oh, it's an adjustment.
Adjustment in one capacity or another. For instance, it's it's very wet and then there's a situation in the springtime where it's really unusable. And so then you would see a certain percentage applied to the land is actually, a separate discount, but you would see a note, hopefully explaining why it was there because it's wet or whatever the case was.
In the property card.
In the property card, yes.
And so the who and when is as part of any cyclical reval. So we're always doing cyclical revaling. We're always once every 10 years, we're always
visiting every property, yes.
Right. And so it's the person who is doing that reval, the inspector, the appraiser, I don't know what you call the assessor, inspector. It's that person when they're doing that might have captured that maybe years and years ago that there was a rail line or 10 years ago that started to flood or whatever, they might have captured it. So one of the things that's definitely an area of focus for us, Stephanie in particular, is sort of keeping an eye and a good oversight on the staff who do that task. And right now that task is we contract that to RRG to do that task of doing that reval, of looking at each house over a long period of time and making those kind of notes and adjustments.
So not a reval.
Not a reval.
Cyclical review.
I'm sorry. A cyclical
reval is something else. It's just, it's every 5 years is a reval.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And so I'm just, I don't want to be nitpicky, but
No,
it's
you should
just
be.
our terminology. And so.
No, keep me honest. I'm a new guy. But yeah, so it's definitely an area of focus, and it if you continue to benefit us by joining us for these meetings, if you keep an eye on when we're talking about these visits, these inspection visits, and if who's doing them, RRG, or we've got plans maybe in the future of building more in-house capability. Then that's really what's behind whether or not these notes are written and adjustments made. That helps, Stephanie?
Yes, I also, but it's a concern because the railroad is looking to expand. And I know that would affect people who may or may not have excessive traffic with the rail already behind their house. Also, it triggered a thought in my mind that I know that my particular area has been designated as a floodplain through FERCog and through other agencies, but I know that the maps aren't necessarily updated at the DPW, or the engineers, I guess, water department. So I just don't would those also be factors being considered in evaluation of a house? Because I know that if once I designate or I say, hey, I'm in a floodplain, I know my insurance will go up, or I would have to buy additional homeowners insurance to cover that. So I'm not sure if the maps are all updated and how that affects the actual assessment of your home. Thanks.
Well, if it's a problem, and so let me just explain that there are two people or two entities responsible for every assessment. One is the assessor's office and the other is the owner. And so if there's a situation, it's up to the owner to either bring it to our attention through the abatement process or just, in some way, shape or form so that we can go out and address that. And if there's something that's influencing the value in a negative way, then we can put some type of influence in place. And then hopefully it would stay in place or be monitored by the cyclical review process to see if that is still present. So yeah, if there's something going on, then it needs to get brought to our attention because, the things might, slip by past us, and there's so many things going on that we might not be able to address everything. So I'm saying that because we need your help too, as the owner, to bring these things to our attention. And then once we have the opportunity, we should take a look at it and then adjust accordingly, and then note also accordingly in the system of if we have made some type of influence of why we're making it, so that it can be reviewed in the future to make sure it's still present.
So, but if DPW or I don't know who else would change the designation of the terrain that a house or neighborhood is in, obviously that would affect a number of houses. Do they tell us that?
We communicate with them back and forth, but that might not be something, they're not thinking of things the way we think of as value. And so, it's something that once it was brought to my attention, I would contact them and verify and try and get as much information about it as I could. But we don't necessarily, we're not having our own weekly meetings where we're discussing, our different parts of town and what's going on.
So Stephanie, was there some kind of change for the terrain in your neighborhood?
Yes, I don't think the maps have been updated for floodplain designation, so Chapman and Arch through FERCog.
Oh, so FERCog is the one who did it?
FERCog has designated this area as a floodplain, but I'm not sure if there's communication between FERCog and
DPW.
the DPW. Yeah, so again, I'm more than willing to come in and help on days that I have off.
Yes, Stephanie, I'm just trying to, we're always working on we're always continuously improving our processes. Continuous improvement. So.
Yeah,
and I'm more than willing to come and take a ride with anybody. I've lived here for 50 years, so.
We shouldn't need any of that. It's a question of, is there some contact at FERCog that we should be emailing once a month with? Like, hey, did you decide to call half of the town, unbuildable?
So that on our GIS too, we've got that type of
those overlays.
and zoning.
Yeah, but if someone changes it, do we know it?
Yeah, because it's going through, well, I don't know. I would assume that, and I can't speak for DPW, but I would assume that, FERCog's a federal agency, right? So.
No,
County, yeah, okay, so I'm sure that they would be communicating with the town too, especially if they're I'm sure that they're working together, or I would hope that they would be working together and be in on it and be sharing the results.
Yeah, but how does Patriot get updated? That's what the real deal is if FERCog has done something and we need to put some factor in some neighborhoods or something, we need to know. They need to tell us.
Well, I have a question about FERCog's ability to declare something as a floodplain. I have no problem with them doing it, but it's the impact of that. If it is an official change, then as Chuck was saying, it ought to go through some sort of process so that, all the maps get updated. But on the other hand, if that's sort of their overlay on our maps, then, it seems strange.
Is there someone, Jim, maybe, if it's okay, Randy, maybe Jim or I could talk to someone over at FERCog if we knew who it was and ask them what they do and what's going on?
I would just want to start internal first.
Yeah,
DPW.
I think that would be the starting point. Find out from the DPW the key question is who maintains the maps?
Yeah, well, I still got a no show, no call in my Eversource email. So as far as I'm concerned, DPW is not being ultra communicative at this time.
Okay.
That's a separate topic.
DPW got to do.
What's that?
Why?
Remember, I was going to ask DPW if they had a contact at Eversource, so I could ask them how many meters are in town. But that's a different topic. That's from New Growth. I'm just saying, if we need to ask someone at DPW, maybe we need to find a different way to ask them.
All right, I'll give him a call. At least it'll be a different,
I thought that I had a contact at Eversource I was gonna give to you, which I probably haven't yet. But I do have someone at Eversource. We
Oh, yeah?
go back and forth for personal property. I'm sure that I remember saying that.
Yeah.
I know that I dropped the ball because I remember this came up before and I said, oh, I do know somebody. Yeah, so there's
That'd be
somebody
great.
I could give you.
But
Um,
meanwhile, DPW at least
yeah.
could have replied to me and said, you know, we appreciate your input. Our people will get back to you.
Yeah. I cannot confirm it. Opinion on that, but anyway, yeah,
All right.
I do think that I dropped the ball.
So Stephanie, maybe we'll be able to make some headway in this one.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Steph. Appreciate your,
I'm sorry, and she asked about the permits,
oh,
and the cost of construction estimate on the permits.
yeah. One of the things, first of all, it's a DPW issue, but we need to press them to make sure that every permit that is filed has an estimated cost, and the estimated cost and the description of work line up. So we haven't yet done that, and I think we have other fish to fry with DPW.
And not.
I meant inspections.
Building inspection.
So we're working on it, though.
Okay.
Okay, Steph? All right,
Yes.
thank
Are
you
we
very much.
capturing, do we capture money between the flips?
Oh,
Like when
between the
property
flips?
So when somebody comes
Oh.
in and there is a quitclaim deed that maybe only lasts
Oh,
for
yeah.
a few months, and so that work can be done with under the radar. This has just happened to be something I'm noticing. So maybe I should put it in the tip line. But I really appreciate you making this interesting for me today.
Yeah. No, I think the tip line is a great place to report things that look suspicious. How we get to them is a different matter, or when we get to them.
We do get a feed from the Register of Deeds whenever there's any kind of deed. Just like we get a report from the buildings inspections whenever there's any kind of permit.
Yes,
That doesn't mean we know everything, right? The deed just says what it says. It might only say $1 or something.
But we have to qualify it as a sale. And
Yeah.
so when it sells for cheap, then we're taking the value, hopefully, and putting it down unless it's some type of private party sale. And so, yeah, the houses are getting flipped, and whether or not all the permits are getting pulled, we don't know. But once it sells, then it comes on our radar and we're looking at it, and hopefully we're going to bring it up to speed with our data so that it's accurately reflecting the current conditions of the house. So if it's been rehabilitated, hopefully we've decreased the value so that when it gets, put back on the market and restored, that we're capturing it as new growth.
Yeah,
Yep.
right. And that's why you're talking about permits having costs.
yep.
And we're working on it, Stephanie.
Okay, thanks. Well, let's see. Ongoing BOA business. How we doing in the assessor's office? Update.
Yeah. Busy, trying to get to everything. Too much to do, not enough time.
And thank you. And the RRG report. When can we get together and talk about how to maintain oversight over them and have them report to us? Can we have a meeting on that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's like similar to what Dee was doing, I guess.
Yeah,
So. We can talk to David when he's here and ask him and say
Okay.
that the board would like to have some type of report that's not coming from me.
yep. Okay,
Yeah, because the cyclical review, where are we at with that, and just inspections and even abatements, and just if you wanted to, get more information, I guess.
yeah,
But they could. Yeah, I guess, why don't you, if you could give me some specific information of exactly what you're looking for, so like
okay,
the cyclical review, and let's put down, and then we can ask David for, hey, for our next meeting, the board is looking for a report on these items,
yeah.
or an update on these items.
And Chuck, you probably have some ideas, but
Maybe.
Okay, well, I'll put together a list.
Yeah, I mean, they're really just helping us get everything done
Yeah,
as much as we can. I don't think he's been out doing, he's been, doing all inspections for abatements. He was here yesterday, and put the library in. So we had a public records request for the library and they wanted to know how much it cost and everything. And it still was showing in Patriot, the old fire station. And so I started it on Friday, but when David was here yesterday, he finished it. I guess that's probably not 100%, but we're at least 95% done instead of being 5% done.
okay. Great.
Yeah, I know that the cyclical review is ongoing. We're still having some of the questionnaires trickle in. And I did talk to David about the cyclical review as far as hopefully we'll be gaining some new growth from it. And if we could get an update from them on how far through they are from their latest effort,
Yeah,
we can ask about that. Or,
Yeah.
I think that they could give us some information on.
yeah, we also had questions about inputting information. Remember when I was in the office talking to you, there were several things that maybe this was personal property.
Yeah, it was personal property, right? And so
We ought to get
we're
some handle on that too.
yeah, we're working on that. And I'm actually preparing to have a meeting with Harold. And so we've been talking about it a little bit. And it's tough because I'm really taking him to task and I'm not necessarily happy with the different things that I've been seeing.
Yeah.
And, that was a difficult thing to have to do, to have that conversation with Harold, but he, it sort of came up in those meetings.
Mhm.
And I feel a lot better about addressing it with Harold now. And so I've been accumulating different things that I want to point out and say, okay, this is what I'm seeing.
Okay,
And really, it looks like it's a lot of stuff that hasn't been getting done.
yeah,
And I'm finding examples, but I find them more and more, and I haven't even gone looking yet.
yeah.
And so,
I'm wondering how we can become aware of some of those things.
it's all just the formal list. You'd have to be in-house. So even, one of the things that we've been doing recently is we've got to get the formal list ready and received so that we can give to David. Did you give them to
That's
David
done.
yesterday? That's done. Okay, so we finally got that done.
Okay,
But as we were going through, even Devin, as someone new, was seeing a lot of different things and made notes where we were receiving them of new businesses or businesses telling us information because like All About Beads. So All About Beads is gone from 231 Main,
Right.
but it's been over here on Bank
On Bank Road.
for 11 years and we're still have it at 231 Main.
wow,
And so I pulled out two form of lists. They're at least 2 years in a row. She has told us where her address is, and I'm sure because she's one of, a responsible business owner that has been, she understands the processes and been putting in her form of list every year. I didn't go back to see how many years she's been telling us,
Mhm.
but this is the type of thing. So we've got several examples and some of newer businesses. One of them is the Napa that we missed. And so, okay, they changed hands and the entity that was running Napa changed hands in like 2019. And so that other business was taken out, but the new one, even though we had form of lists, wasn't added. And so I've got 3 years of personal property to build them for now. Because I can go back, X amount of years. And so just even when I start to work the list of the information that you guys gave me, I'm seeing stuff like that. I know that we're hurting for cash and we need new growth, so I want to go after it, but I don't have, the time to do it all, and especially in abatement season. So I'm hoping I can bang some of this stuff out and we can get to the end of abatement season so that we can concentrate on this other stuff a little bit more fun. When we're talking about personal property. I mentioned that maybe we should do an entire measure and list of all the personal property. It's something that costs between $40,000 to $60,000, but it'll probably pay for itself with the new growth that we would capture.
Yeah, but how long would that take?
it would, I don't know, it'd take probably a good 6 months by an outsourced company. Harold's company does that, but I think that there's a different company that I prefer to go with. And part of it is cleaning up. We've got all these new businesses that we've been identified and found. So when you have them do it, every new business that they find costs you a little bit more money. So I wanted to get our information up to date and clean as we can with all these businesses that are gone. And then the new ones that we found, so that we're not paying them to find all the stuff that we just went out and did.
Yeah.
So I was thinking really more of next year, or even in this fiscal year, we could start, and I guess the results we'd see as of next year. They were talking about putting that in, so I don't know if it was something that qualified under ARPA funds, that we could use ARPA funds for to do this, but the mayor talked to me about it. And I was really thinking down the line, not right away. But I suppose if it was something that we could get the financing for right away, it might be worthwhile doing. And so I'd have to, something like that, I'd have to go out to bid. I'd have to talk to the company that
Project.
And so
So
something that's been talked about, and maybe, eventually I wanted to do it. And if it happens sooner rather than later, I guess as long as we have the capacity to handle it, it shouldn't be a problem.
But as long as we're talking about projects where we spend 50K on trying to, and get a return on that, is if we spent that 50K doing home reassessments, and maybe prioritized by the, value of the home or the neighborhood or something.
This is also related to permits.
Yeah.
No.
It really that's more of handling your cyclical review.
Yeah, but if we had 50K to throw at trying to get more back than 50K.
And we'd be looking at the list that you did. So that's another thing.
Oh, the permit list.
Yeah, the permit list where we've got the lopsided permits. Yeah, we've got some stuff out there that, has slipped through the cracks. And so
A lot of opportunity
yeah,
there.
exactly. And so let's identify those. I wanted to see how much we have in the budget so that we can see if our RG has another inspector that we could go above and beyond David to come out, and then we could give this other list to and have them work that. Because I don't think if we gave that to David, well, there's too much permit stuff.
Yeah.
And all this other stuff, it's
He's
not.
just not gonna get to it.
Exactly. And so that's part of why I bring as much of that in-house as I can.
Yeah, but again, I was just wondering, in terms of the bang for the buck, if we were throwing money at having contract staff doing redos, is it equally valuable to do formal list stuff as it is to do like expensive properties?
It depends, I guess. I don't know.
I mean,
That's a tough question to answer.
I'm excited about all the work
But
we
it's
did.
all
to find all
either,
these businesses.
even it's like Stephanie said, if it's a nickel or dime, or if it's $500,000, we really, that's how we're gonna get our new growth, is by adding up all these small things. So that's what's been going on, in my opinion, with our inspections for years, is that we've been starting at the top and then get all the most expensive things, and there's a cutoff, and then nothing gets done after that. And so it's
I'm not even
better if
sure.
we're in control of
Yeah.
that, and then we're going and drilling it down to, okay, it's $500, $1,000, I'll let that go, or something like that, I prefer to try and get it all done and be able to do it ourselves. So, I don't know. And that's a whole plan that we have for the office, and it's gonna come in time and with what personnel that we're able to get. And so we at least have money in the budget for someone else.
Yeah, that's the next agenda item, isn't it?
On the budget,
No, the staffing.
staffing.
You just said.
Yeah, okay, and so we're talking about it, and there's been a lot of back and forth, but the last I heard with the mayor, and last time she spoke to me, she said, no, you're gonna, we're gonna keep your budget the way it is, and so that we have the funds to get a qualified person.
Did HR post it? Are they searching?
No, I don't think that they're just talking about it being, the funds aren't even finalized in the budget yet. So once we get to that point, then I think they would start. But I have been trying to solicit from other communities a data collector job description.
Hmm.
And we have an assistant assessor, we have a clerk job description. And a principal assessor, chief assessor job description, but we don't have that one, and so we can advertise for that. I think that we advertise for a finite period of time and then make our best choice. We just know if we don't have qualified personnel.
It's just like with all the city departments, like we were just talking about DPW, the building department, and now HR. Everybody's strapped. And so sometimes we might have to squeak a little.
Yeah.
Get them to.
Yeah, well, one of the things I've been saying is that, you know, even with the great amount that we're spending on our RG, that enough money hasn't been getting spent on this department, been scrimping in this department. And then that's what we're seeing as the results of too many years of scrimping and the state of our data and the way things are right now.
But, okay, but so we have to push on the budget process in HR to get our person that we need.
Yeah, well, hopefully that is taken care of, and then we'll, you know, try and get a HR. As soon as they are able, they can't, and I think until the budget's approved, they won't be able to act.
Yeah.
But either way, we're at least getting ready so that when that time comes, we're able to, here you go, here's this, there's this, what else do you need? No, that's everything, let's go.
Okay. I think we better move on. And we've been helping with administration and research. Is there anything else we can do for you?
Yeah, another project for us? You got that spreadsheet for me to work on?
Yeah. Oh, no, not yet.
Yeah.
But we'll get there.
All right.
Okay. Assessors Night, this was triggered by going to Jenny's listening session. Can we set a date and then work backwards so we can tell when we've got to have our ducks in a row?
Is this similar to the assessor night that we've been talking about for a long time?
Yeah.
Ask the assessor, I think
Yeah.
that's what we were calling it
Yeah.
before.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm all for that and have been the whole time.
Sure. Oh,
And
let's say if it was May 15th, just to pick a number, how much in advance would we have to have things locked down? I mean, we'd have to promote it, probably several times, and that would be that. And then we have to figure out what we're going to say, because I think there ought to be an educational component in there.
Mhm.
And then, listen, and it may in fact be a couple of sessions, one of which is more educational and the other is more asking us questions and responding to that. So, well, it's in the future, so we'll deal with it in the future, but I'll,
Well, pick your topic,
Okay.
we got plenty to talk about, exemptions or, valuation or excise or
yeah, we could in fact have
maybe
a,
some overview of everything that's
Yeah.
in the assessor's office. So that here's this, we do the excise, we do, your real estate, but we're doing personal property too. and,
Yeah.
Land and, homes, commercial or
well,
industrial.
maybe we actually have a series. And we hit one or two topics per session and Zoom them so people can ask questions about the particular topics. See something about that. Okay. Well, I'll sketch something. Okay, excise weeks.
So we got abatements here. Let's take a look. We've got a couple different years. We've got 22, 23, and 24.
Ours.
Yeah.
What's the total come out to be?
Thomas.
51? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, and the total commitment is 513040. Okay. Okay. We have any supplementals?
I do have several. I marked where you guys can sign. So
Great.
start passing around. So this is for rollback tax for a couple different, for two different properties, for 73 Lampblack and 454 Leiden.
Yeah, because I finally paid the bills.
And then the bills are on the back.
And rollback means,
They were, it was land that was in chapter that was removed from chapter. So they have to pay a penalty.
Yep.
okay, and chapter land and liens.
No chapter land or liens, but there's also some supplemental bills here that we're for 56 Rockland Road, 616 Bernardston Road, and 602 Bernardston Road.
This is super nice, the little.
Yeah, I'll keep doing that.
Yeah. That is a time favor.
Yep.
So what happened on those is it was tax exempt properties that were sold by the Stoneleigh Burnham.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
So they were
no longer
tax exempt, exactly, and so they got a supplemental bill for X amount of days left in the fiscal year according to the sale price.
Awesome new growth.
Yes, it will be for next year, so that's
Yeah. Yay.
and something that's helping, because we talked in the budget about, and Dave's estimate was 300,000, but in the budget they put 400,000. So I'm gonna mission find that extra 100,000.
That's what we are all here about. Let's make it two.
Okay, and then the calendar timeline. Did you do something with the seasons, the season
I've
item?
been adding to seasons to the timeline. I'll have something for you guys to see in
Okay.
physically soon.
Lovely.
Great.
We've got, what is it? The exemption deadlines were yesterday.
Mhm.
So, but we still have some that have been submitted that we're just waiting on the rest of the paperwork to come in. So you'll still see some after this meeting today. Yeah,
But we,
anything else upcoming in terms of month of April? Or,
just on that exemption note, accolade for Jim for going to see, Miss
yeah.
what, Gustav or
No.
Faust or something. Yeah.
He went to
and helping
Mickey
him.
Mouse.
Deal with the devil.
Yeah. No, it was really,
Well, you know,
Both of you, it was huge. I was gonna do it, but I thought, hey, this is.
hey, man, you can't do
I do
everything.
have a resource.
no,
Because I was thinking, okay, there's.
we'd rather you were going after those permits and stuff. We'll go hang out.
Yeah,
with
it
you.
worked out perfect because it really was, especially with the timing, we had to get the deadline. Like you have so much time to apply, but when that.
I just went and dropped it off, but you went and filled out his whole application with him.
Yeah, well, the only thing I didn't fill out was the value of his 2013 BMW. And that's just Blue Book, right?
Yeah,
And somebody will do it here, or do you want me to do it?
yeah, a lot of times you don't usually even have that in.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Then that's fine.
unless it's a Lamborghini, I suppose, because it's a BMW. If it was newer, I might.
No, it was handed down from his daughter, but who knows? Under discussion as needed.
He's 95, he's still driving.
Yeah. I know a woman that was doing the same thing. They're unbelievable. The discussion as needed is there. I don't think we have an awful lot of time to talk about any of these, all of these items. Are there any that are?
Can we just do quick updates?
Sure.
So we already got the update on the Eversource thing. The tip line hasn't changed much. Maybe I'll get another one or two. And that's also, as I understand it, the tip line's in the same list as the permit per value and the business.
Yeah.
We have a lot of opportunities.
Yes.
The exemption qualifications or expanding the exemptions, I assume we can wait a little while. We have time in the legislative year.
Yeah.
So we can get to that one.
Yeah, it'd probably be too late. We'd have to really rush to get it in and to the council and approved before the fiscal year.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're not making the fiscal year, so that way we'll do it later this
Have
summer.
enough time then, to prepare and.
Yeah, and then you had your draft on
yeah, we've, it's a hardship policy, but
yes.
the open meeting law regarding discussions, I don't think we need that anymore because we've been through the open meeting
Yeah,
law
I
training
would
and.
talk about that.
All right, I'm gonna strike that then.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. And policy idea, that's a policy ideas brainstorming. That's a standing one. So let's defer that in light of what we have for abatements. Ditto for educational outreach. The only addition to hardship policy, oh, first of all, I sent it around, yes.
Yes, I have copies, if you guys wanna check them out now, later, have them for your records.
Okay. And, you know, the one thing that I may want to suggest as a change, at least for now, is based on something I picked up last night that came from Housing Greenfield. And that is if our taxes exceed 30% of a person's income, you know, adjusted for size of family, then that should be considered a hardship case. But again, this is a draft and I'll update it with that information. Okay. So, next meeting dates.
I have them set for, right now, I've just been doing them every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So sometimes that will make, like, that'll land 3 in 1 month. I don't know if you guys want to stick to 2 a month, or if you want to keep doing them every 2 weeks.
Until we plow through,
Yeah, it's until we get to
Okay.
abatement season, but
Okay.
after that, we should be able to just go twice a month.
Okay. And I know, Jim, you sent an email about getting an
Yeah.
electronic update, so I can start doing Google invites.
yeah,
for those.
that would be helpful for me because,
So I'm sorry, did you guys just say we're meeting next week, Tuesday the 9th?
no, 16th
16th?
and the 30th.
Okay, no special abatement meeting next week?
I don't know, actually, because one thing I haven't done, but I would like to, is look at any that are pending to be deemed denied.
We don't have nothing scheduled on my calendar at any rate for the 16th. Or the 20th, sorry, or the 30th. Okay,
So, because I've been just posting them to the city website, so
I
do
know.
you want just,
well, and if I'm the only one with the problem, then
I think it's a good reminder if anybody else is also.
do you want an invite sent?
I can get it off somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
it doesn't matter to me.
I think just for ease.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're posting it on the
Yeah.
city website, post it.
Yeah.
fine, it's no
That's
problem.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's great.
I'm sorry, when is the meeting?
It is the 16th,
Okay, that's just that. No 9th. All right.
unless it looks after we get done with whatever abatements we can get
Okay.
done. Looks like.
But otherwise,
in our-
16th.
Okay, does anyone make a motion to close public comments?
I will make motion to close public comment.
Second.
Okay,
All in favor?
yep. here we
Aye.
go. All right, Steph, we're kicking you off.
Oh, I was
Oh.
having so much fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
And I'm
thanks,
willing to
Steph.
helping us.
volunteer, so I'll come in and do some paperwork, so.
There you go.
Help you guys
Okay.
out, so, all right. All right,
Okay,
have a
great.
great day.
Thanks. See you. Now, I guess I just leave, right? Oh,
No,
stop
let it-
recording.